There's something about driving with no particular place to be. Just moving through streets you've known for years. Streets that have changed without you really noticing when it happened. I remember when you could hear children playing outside. Not just on weekends, every afternoon really. Their voices carried through open windows. Bikes left lying in driveways. A ball bouncing somewhere down the block. Now the streets are quieter, but in a different way. The quiet isn't peaceful anymore. It's the quiet of closed doors and drawn curtains. Everyone inside, I suppose. Time moved differently back then. Summer lasted forever. A single day could feel like it held a week's worth of living. Now a whole month disappears, and I'm not sure what happened during it. I don't know exactly when things sped up. There wasn't a moment. It was gradual, like water wearing down stone. One day you just notice that everything feels faster, that you're always a little behind. We used to wait for things, wait for the weekend, wait for a phone call, wait for a show to come on at a specific time. And the waiting was part of it somehow, part of how you knew something mattered. Now nothing requires waiting, everything is immediate, and I wonder if that's why nothing feels quite as significant. I remember afternoons with nothing planned, just sitting on a porch step or leaning against a car, talking about nothing in particular, or not talking at all, just being there while time passed. That kind of stillness is hard to find now. Even when I'm not doing anything, I'm aware that I could be, that I should be. The stillness doesn't feel the same when you're choosing it from 100 other options. There were fewer choices back then. Fewer channels, fewer places to go, fewer ways to spend your time. And somehow that made things simpler. Not better necessarily, just simpler. I think about how much mental space we used to have, room to let thoughts wander, room to be bored, to stare out a window and let your mind go wherever it wanted. Now my mind is always half somewhere else, always aware of what I'm not doing, what I haven't checked, what might be happening that I don't know about. Even silence sounds different now. It used to be just silence. Now it feels like the absence of something, like something's missing that should be there. I miss the way evenings used to settle, how things would just naturally slow down. People would come home, and that was it. The day was done. Now there's no clear line between when the day ends and when it doesn't. Everything bleeds together. Work, home, rest, obligation, all of it accessible all the time. I remember knowing my neighbors, not just their names, actually knowing them. You'd see the same faces every day, wave from the driveway, stop and talk for a few minutes about nothing important. I'm not sure when that stopped. When we all retreated indoors, when the front yard stopped being a place where people gathered. Maybe it's just different now. Maybe people connect in other ways. But I miss the randomness of it, the unplanned conversation, the person you'd run into just because you were both outside at the same time. Things feel more scheduled now. Even friendship requires planning. You have to check calendars, send messages back and forth, find a time that works. Nothing just happens anymore. I think about the texture of days back then, how you could feel the difference between morning and afternoon, how Saturdays had their own particular feeling. Now every day has a kind of sameness to it, the same routines, the same screens, the same sense of never quite catching up. We used to have markers, things that told you where you were in a year, certain shows coming back on television, the way stores would change what they had in the windows, small things that oriented you in time. Now everything is always available, every season, every show, every song. And I think we lost something in that, some sense of rhythm, some feeling that time was actually moving. I remember when you could go somewhere and really be gone, no way for anyone to reach you, and that wasn't frightening, it was just normal. Now if I'm unreachable for an hour, it feels strange, like I've disappeared, like I'm somehow irresponsible for not being available. I wonder what we've traded for all this convenience, all this connection. I think we've traded a certain kind of presence, the ability to be fully where you are, to not be thinking about everywhere else you could be, everything else you could be doing. Children used to play until someone called them in, until it got too late to see clearly. They'd make up games with whatever was around. Sticks, rocks, chalk on the sidewalk. Now play is organized, supervised, scheduled between other things. I'm not saying it was better then. It was just different. And I miss some of what's been lost in the difference. I miss the slowness, the way time could stretch out ahead of you, how a single afternoon could be enough. Now there's always something else, some other thing pulling at your attention, and I don't think we're happier for it. I remember silence in the car, just the sound of the engine, the radio if you wanted it, but long stretches of nothing. And that was fine. Now silence feels like something to fill, like it's wrong somehow, like you're supposed to be taking in information constantly. I've started to notice how rarely I'm just thinking, how rarely my mind is free to wander without landing on something I need to do, something I should respond to, some problem I should be solving. There's a tiredness that comes from that, not physical tiredness, something deeper. I think about how visible everything is now, how everyone can see what everyone else is doing, how we're all performing our lives for people we hardly know. Back then, your life was just your life. It didn't need to be documented or shared or validated. It just happened, and then it was over, and that was enough. There was a privacy to living that doesn't exist anymore. Not because anyone took it away. We gave it up willingly, because we were told it would bring us closer together. But I don't feel closer. I feel more distracted, more aware of everything I'm not, everything I don't have. I think that's what I miss most, the contentment that came from not constantly comparing, from not knowing what everyone else was doing every moment. You could just be ordinary, and ordinary was enough. Now ordinary feels like failing, like you should be doing more, being more, experiencing more. There's no rest in it. I drive these streets and I remember when they felt bigger, when the town felt like the whole world, and it was enough. Now the whole world fits in your pocket, and somehow it feels smaller. I don't have answers for any of this. I'm just noticing, remembering, feeling the difference between then and now. Maybe that's all this is, just the feeling of time passing, of being old enough to remember when things were different, and young enough to remember when you didn't notice time passing at all. The streets are still here, the same turns, the same houses, but the feeling is different. Or maybe I'm different. Maybe I'm the one who changed and the street stayed the same. I don't know. I just know that something about the world felt softer back then, more forgiving, like there was room to make mistakes, room to figure things out slowly. Now everything moves so fast, and I'm tired of trying to keep up. So I drive, and I remember, and I let the quiet, this different kind of quiet, settle around me. And for a little while, I'm just here, just moving through familiar streets, not trying to be anywhere else, not thinking about what comes next. Just this, just now. And maybe that's enough.